Hello, 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 everyone. Come on into the webinar. We are going to talk about how you can still get grants and the top tips that will help move you through this grant chaos. My name is Linda Peavy, and I'm going to be your hostess this evening. Where yes, we are going to talk about what you need to do. My top 10 tips to get you through this grant maze right now. Plus, we're going to do a grant walkthrough where I'm going to show you an approved application and why it was approved. It was an application that I wrote and was approved, and I'll show you why it was approved. But first, let me know who's here with me. Give that city and that state a shout out as you come in. Hey, Carolyn. Carolyn is back with us. Hello, Carolyn. Who else is coming in? Let me know. Let me know where you're coming in from. Hello, is it Ebony? Ebony from Sacramento, California. Katie is coming in from Texas. Look at Texas showing up. Hello, Jessica from Texas. And Katie in from Texas. And hello, Alicia from Baltimore. Tiffany's coming in from the Big D, the Motor City, Detroit. And Wonder's coming in from Houston, Texas. Hey, Naomi from Los Angeles. Ooh, you're coming in fast, fast, fast. All right, Erica from Marion, Indiana. Butterfly says Phoenix, Arizona is in the house. I know that's right, representing Phoenix. And I've been to Phoenix and all throughout Arizona. Sedona, oh my gosh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And is it Chantel? Chantel is coming in from New Orleans. New Orleans is here. And Lashana from Delaware. And Marielle, is that right? Or Mariella? Mariella from Spring Valley, New York. And Rodrigo from Wilmington, Delaware. Hello, Leon Q. Allen from Chi-Town, Chicago. And Kawana is coming in from St. Louis. And Carol from Sebring, Florida. And Desmion, is that right? Desmion from, I believe this is Jackson, Mississippi. It is. And we've got Easy Program from New York. And Errol is coming in from, Errol is back from the Bama. That's what I'm talking about. I think that's right, Huntsville, Alabama. And Barbara's coming in from New Jersey. Hello, Coach Bucky. Hello, Coach Bucky. I see a little basketball, so you know I have to say, go Cavs. Go Cavs, Coach Bucky from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Marlita from Richmond, Virginia. And Marinita from Lancaster. All right. Oh my gosh. Wonderful is coming in for, is this Pittsburgh, California? I didn't know there was a Pittsburgh, California. And Mary Cruz from Texas and Latricia from historical Gary, Indiana, home of our Michael Jackson. That's right. And is it Naiki from Houston? Look at Texas showing up. And Savannah from the Motor City, Detroit. And Angela is bringing up Ohio. Akron. Akron is in the house. Yes. And Quincy is coming in from Montana. Is that Helena? Montana? Welcome, Montana. Beautiful, beautiful Montana. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to get started because I have a lot of information to share with you. Helena, Helena, Montana. Thank you for that. Helena, Montana. All right, welcome, 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 everyone. I'm going to get started. My name is Linda Peavy, and some of my friends are on here. You know me as the Grants Queen. As we say hello to Kenneth. Kenneth is coming in from Gainesville, Florida. I was just in Gainesville a few months ago giving a keynote on grants, right? So I'm going to get started because I have a lot of really important information to share with you. Some of the information will be new to some of you because I want to share with you what is going on right now with grants. And I'm going to give you absolutely my top tips to help you through this grant maze that we are going through. And what I want you to leave with is encouragement, encouragement, because you need to know that, yes, there are grants absolutely, absolutely still available, whether you are a nonprofit or a small business. All right. All right. So let's get started. I am going to share my screen and pull up my presentation. And as I always say, come through technology because I was providing a live webinar this morning. And let me tell you that Zoom decided that it was not going to cooperate. 10 times it just crashed. But we were able to come back and move along. But I am just hoping that all of those problems that Zoom was having earlier have been taken care of because I have important information to share with you. So Zoom is just going to need to cooperate. All right. So for all of you, you need to know that this is the 2025 Top 10 Grant Tips and Winning Grant Walkthrough. All right. So information about me. Yes, they do call me the Grants Queen because I have secured over 17 million, almost $18 million now worth of funding and grants. And this is year 17 of me owning my company, LiPav Consulting. Every one of those years, I've been a professional grant writer. And I do provide grant writing workshops all over the country, sometimes in person. I was in Seattle just a couple of weeks ago providing a private grant writing session. So some companies want me to teach them grant writing in person. And oftentimes I teach grant writing remotely to many of the larger organizations like the Urban League and Goldman Sachs, where I am a proud alumnus of their Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. Now, someone is here from Akron. My undergraduate and graduate degrees are from the University of Akron. Go Zips, because we just won what? The MAC championship. Go Zips. Can you tell I'm a sports fan? Yes. I have also built a grant writing academy of over 3,000 students. Now, I have a business, but I want to know who is here with me who has a small business, or maybe you're a nonprofit, because I used to lead a nonprofit as well. Or maybe you have both now. Maybe you have a small business and a nonprofit, which is really smart because it means you're able to apply for grants that are geared towards both of those entities. So just let me know in the chat who is here with me today. Small business. Ah, someone has both. Quite a few of you have both. Excellent. Nonprofit, for profit. The reason I ask you that question so that it is crystal clear to all of you. Yes, there's grant money for you as a nonprofit, but there's also grant money for you as a small business. I'm going to cut through all of this craziness when it comes to grants so that you understand grants are still available, very much so, as you will see as we move through. So I want you to be encouraged. All right. Now, how did I get here? Someone is here from Pennsylvania. I used to live in Pennsylvania. I was a publishing executive. I was there for 10 years and then I got hurt. When I got hurt, I had to move back home to Cleveland, to the land, to recuperate. Literally came home in a wheelchair. I'll never forget that flight because I was sitting across from Patti LaBelle, but that's a story for another time. So when I came back to Cleveland, it took me 2 years, 2 years to recuperate. And at the end of those 2 years, I couldn't find a job because my experience was in professional publishing. And if you know anything at all about Cleveland, you know that it is not the publishing headquarters of the United States. So I couldn't find a job. That's when I started LiPav Consulting. And one of my first contracted positions was to be the executive director of a nonprofit. And I was there for maybe a couple of years. And then I was not a couple of years, a couple of weeks. I wish it had been a couple of years, a couple of weeks before I was asked to literally write a grant that would pay for my salary. I had never seen a grant before. I had zero knowledge about grants. But here I was in a position where I had to write a grant that would literally save my job, thus saving the organization. But you know what? I did it. I researched. I wrote that grant. It paid for my salary for an entire year. And it saved the job. It saved the organization. So I want you to know that it is possible for you to write and win grants with zero experience. But it also let me know what you can do with grant money right? How about you finally open? Because I know some of you have not yet opened, or hire help because I hear from you. I know you are tired of wearing all 20 hats in your organization. Or how about just receiving funding to operate? You must be tired of digging in your pocketbook. I'm old school. I still call it a pocketbook and not a purse. Digging in your pocketbook, digging in your pockets, period, to find money that is no longer there because you've used it all to fund your nonprofit or your small business. We're talking about free money. Grant money is free money. So we'll talk about what you can do with this free money, right? As we move through. All right. Now, what will we cover? Why this class is important. We're going to talk about the current grant landscape because that's very critical for all of you moving forward. And then I'll cover some grant basics, but we're going to go through those top 10 grant tips. And then I'm going to show you an approved application so that you can see what foundations are looking for in terms of applications that they want to approve to give their grant money to, right? And all of you, by the way, will get a grant readiness checklist. So you're all going to get that free. You'll get this grant readiness checklist just so that you understand what do you need to be grant ready. And then I have a bonus surprise, and then we're going to do a Q&A. Now, people, this is really not the time for you to be shy because this is your opportunity to ask a grants instructor. I've been teaching grant writing for a very long time. A grants instructor and a grants expert your questions about grants. All right. So drop them in either the Q&A or the chat, either one, because I'm going to get to all of them at the end. Now, that being said, I am here to help you because you need help to navigate what's going on. I'm here to help you. Therefore, you're going to get a free replay of this master class. You will get the replay. It will be free. You will have it forever. I'm not putting some expiration date on this information because you need it, right? And I want you to be able to come back to it again and again and again. So don't worry. You're going to get the replay at no cost to you. You may even get it tonight, if not early tomorrow morning. And then you'll have it forever. You can come back to it as many times as you want. All right, because this is very important information about what's going on right now. Now, why is this class important? Because you need access to funding, right? Whether you lead a nonprofit or a small business, you need access to money. And it shouldn't always be about what? Loans, right? You want grant money because grant money is free to you. And I want all of you to hear me on this. You can do this. You can write a grant because grant writing is very different now than it used to be. No longer are you writing some 500-page document that takes you 3 months. I know that's really exactly what I used to do, but foundations don't have the personnel to read through 500-page documents. That's why a lot of these grant applications, 2, 3, 4 pages. 2, 3, 4 pages. So you can do this, but understand that there is a process to you winning. And it is about more than you just answering a question and sending off that grant application, because oftentimes that is a very quick way for you to get a rejection letter. So I'm going to teach you the process tonight. All right, now let's talk about what is going on with federal grants. When there was an attempted freeze a few weeks ago, there was just mass chaos because I received all kinds of communications. Linda, oh my gosh, there are no more grants. What I need for you to understand, all of you, is that federal grants do not equal all grants, right? I rarely even talk about federal grants because they are difficult to get. They're typically large dollar. It requires significant grant writing experience and usually partners. So I almost always will talk to you about private community and family foundations. They typically give to nonprofits, and then your corporate foundations that typically give to small businesses, right? And what you must know is that grants come from thousands of resources, not just the federal government, but thousands of resources. So I want you to be encouraged because this money is still available. And I will show you how to place your organization in the best possible position to get it, despite what is going on at the federal level. All right. Now, we know what's going on with the current administration, executive orders, budget cuts. They're trying to get rid of the Department of Education as we speak. A lot of the federal funding, yes, is being cut. Now, that's happening. NIH, HHS, SBA, right? DE. But here's what I want you to understand. Here's the good news. Don't put your eggs in one basket. There's money available outside of federal grants. So what I want you to do as you move forward and you think about where your funding sources are, yes, it should come from grants, absolutely, but also sponsorships. You would be amazed how easy it is to get sponsorships from local businesses in your community. You have to ask. Individual donors, right? How about corporate contracts? Yes, corporate contracts still exist, government contracts still exist. And then your donor advisory funds. Typically, you learn about those as you're meeting with foundations. So, one, diversify your funding. But here's even more good news. A lot of the existing grants right now, even a lot of the existing, right, federal grants that are in progress will continue. But here's what's happening. Those corporate and those private foundations, they are stepping in to cover the gaps that are filled by the federal cuts, right? So, because you have the federal grant cuts, it's the corporations and the private foundations and the community foundations that are filling the gaps. So, it means now more so than ever before, you are going to have to connect with your local foundations and your local corporations for grants. And even the state and local governments will continue funding initiatives, right? Even if there's shrinkage in the federal funding, because not all state and local grants come from the federal government, right? So you still want to pursue your local and state grants. All right. Now let's talk about like the elephant in the middle of the room, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the backlash, because we know that the current administration is erasing those DEI grants. Now, one, what I need for you to understand is diversity, equity, inclusion doesn't just include people of color. It includes a number of different minorities. It includes women of any ethnicity. It includes veterans and the disabled, right? So what does this mean? It means that yes, there will be less, if any, government issued funding for DEI specific programs. What does that mean? There will be more competition, right, for the remaining grants. And it may mean that you have to tweak your language to get even some of the local funding, because we know that there's been pressure by the White House on even private corporations, especially, to remove DEI. But you know what's amazing? And I've been in the rooms with many of these organizations, by the way, some of the largest in the country, and many of them are doubling down on their desire to continue to fund DEI. When I think about foundations like the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation, they are publicly committing to DEI. It's clearly written all over their websites. Now, why do you think that is? Let me know if you have an idea. Let me know in the chat if you have an idea as to why you think organizations like the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation are literally doubling down on their efforts to fund DEI. Yes, and organizations like Costco as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep asking. I see some great, great, great questions. So keep asking your questions. But why do you think the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation? Keep in mind, these are some of the oldest foundations in the country. And it's not about them not wanting to lose their base, because you have major corporations erasing DEI, right? Some of the largest in the country, but then you have the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation, right? Have you heard of the term old money? Have you heard of that term old money? old money. These are some of the oldest foundations in the country. And let me tell you, the Ford Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation, look, people who does not know about Ford cars and who hasn't eaten a bowl of cornflakes, right? These foundations were giving to communities of color before it was popular, before it was popular, right? So they are doubling down. Yes, it's absolutely good business. It's fantastic business, Colette, right? Because they know this is good business for them, right? And even your newer organizations like Google and Apple, while they are changing some of the language on their websites, right, to appease the current administration, they are absolutely still dedicated to communities of color and women and veterans and those who are challenged. They may have to change their language a bit, right? But they're still committed. And I will explain to you how you may need to do that as well. All right. Now, but let me say this. This is very, very, very important. Let me give you some grant basics. Grants are not paid back, right? Like full stop. Grants are not paid back. I want you to look at this number. Foundation, corporation, and bequest giving. This was 2023, $189 billion, billion with a B. Do you see federal funding anywhere on this slide? No. What I need for you to understand, this money was available 3 to 4 weeks ago. It's available now, right? This money is disconnected from what is going on in the White House. So please understand and know that this money is available, grant money is available, right? From those family and community and local foundations and corporate foundations, right? So I want you to be excited about this opportunity to get it. Now, I'm going to go into these top 10 grant tips. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what's called quiet DEI. And I've already seen quite a few questions in the chat about DEI. So what does it mean for you? First of all, you don't change who you serve. If you serve communities of color, if you serve women, you continue to serve communities of color and you continue to serve women. You may need to tweak the language a bit on that application. And you may need to look for different language on that foundation's website, especially if they feel the pressure from the administration to change the language. Again, it doesn't mean that they're not funding those who are considered DEI, right? I'll give you an example. What you're doing is you're taking out the specific racial or ethnic groups and you're replacing them with other words. So, for example, let's say our program offers youth development opportunities for Black boys. That's what you do. That's who you serve. You don't change who you serve. But you may have to tweak that language and say, we provide youth development for historically underserved and underrepresented boys. Everybody knows what that means. Or you emphasize the barriers by saying serving boys disproportionately impacted by economic and educational inequities. Or you use more legal language, institutional language, supporting boys from communities designated as high need or underrepresented in STEM, if that's your particular area. Instead of saying we serve Black entrepreneurs, we support economic growth for underrepresented business owners. Instead of saying we focus on women's empowerment, you can rewrite it and say we provide business training and workforce development for women-led businesses. This area of workforce development is going to be huge. So think about, is there any way in which you do your work, whether it's towards adults or youth, any type of training that will provide skill sets that will lead people to be able to work? All right, so that's how we deal with this issue of DEI. We are not changing at all who we serve. We're just tweaking the language. All right. All right. Now, number two, we are going to embrace AI, artificial intelligence. But what you must understand, if you're using ChatGPT, It's not some magic button. There's no magic button that you push and poof, you have a perfect grant application. No, doesn't exist. AI is a phenomenal tool for truly streamlining the grant writing process. It can rewrite, use it, use it as a tool. It will never be a replacement. It is great for data collection and editing, right? If the application says you need 500 words and you write 1,000, give it to AI. It can rewrite, it can improve your writing, help you write faster and better. But the foundation of your narrative is key. You must understand how to at least write the basics about your organization, your mission, your need statement, your impact statement, what type of service you provide, who you serve, your target population, right? You need to be able to write that. And then you feed into AI, right? You have to feed AI in the form of prompts, and then it will serve you mightily. All right. And yes, there's a way in which you can literally train it to talk like you, right? To talk in the way in which you write. It's an amazing tool, but that's what it is. It's a tool, it's not a replacement. But should you be using it? Absolutely. Now, number three, this focus on impact-oriented giving. I can't stress this enough. When you are writing your grant application, you must talk about what impact you are having on those for whom you serve. And it doesn't matter whether you have a for-profit or a nonprofit, you still have to write this way. You could be opening up a restaurant. What do you think the impact on the community will be by you opening that restaurant? The impact on your clients? Do you have a homeless ministry? What will be the impact? How many people, right? Will you be able to place in homeless shelters? You must use data, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but you can't write about impact without using data. Measurable results, right? How many people are you serving in that restaurant? How many homeless people are you serving? And you can talk about your impact through testimonials, case studies. If you are open, you have clients, have them pick up their phone and give you like a 30-second testimonial. You put that video on the homepage of your website, right? So this impact oriented giving, this is where grant makers are in 2025. They want to know that you are making a difference in your community for whomever you serve. Again, whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit. All right. That becomes important. And number four, oh, the local funders. Again, as the federal government grants shrink, you're going to need to know your local community foundations and your private foundations very well. And the private foundations span across the country, right? But they're going to be filling in these gaps. But let me say to all of you, do you know that it's easier for you to get local grant money? It's easier. It's far easier for you to work with your local foundations and your local businesses. Yes, look nationally, absolutely look nationally, because there are more national organizations giving, but you always start local. You always start local, and you can build on that. Also, you're going to see the rise of what's called micro grants because there is such a need. The need is increasing. So instead of organizations giving out, maybe 10, $50,000 grants, right? Maybe they'll give $105,000 grants. You're going to see these micro grants being given out more and more and more because foundations want to increase, right, their scope of giving, even if it means giving a smaller amount. All right. But know that this all means that grant writing is going to be more competitive, which is also why you need to make sure that what you're doing is impactful. All right. And number five, make sure you are tailoring your proposals to the funders, right? This becomes very important because if you are laser focused on helping veterans to maybe get into transitional housing, you're not going to approach a foundation that is laser focused on K through 12 education. And you can go to a website of a foundation and know exactly how and where they give. This is the issue that a lot of organizations have. They see some of the foundations giving, large dollar grants, and they're just like, all they're saying is like, oh my gosh, there's $100,000 grant, or that's $1 million grant, without reading exactly how that organization is providing and where they are providing, right? And just understand, tailor that proposal to that organization. You'll see how I was able to do that in the upcoming grant walkthrough. What is the connection between that organization and you? Maybe you both believe in education, right? Maybe you both believe in economic development. Whatever that connection is, use it in that grant application, because copy and pasting totally from one grant to the next is not going to work, because every application is a little different. But it's really great if you have like a good template from which to start. And you need to build partnerships, everything, right? You will need to address these questions on the grant application. And if there's one factor in my 17 years of experience where I've seen has made the biggest difference as to whether or not who gets the money, who doesn't, is that you meet with the foundation. Did you meet with them? Did you meet with them before you submitted your application? That makes all the difference in the world. You need to create a relationship with the foundation. They want to meet with you. They're considering giving you money, and believe me, you want to meet with them, because in that meeting, they can give you information that's not on the website. They can give you insights as to how to write that grant application and how to align your work with their work. But that happens in that meeting. And typically these are 30-minute Zoom meetings. Now, as I always say, if you live close to the foundation, meet with them in person. Other than that, 30-minute Zoom meetings, right? And keep in mind, you have to think like the funder, because all things being equal, they get hundreds of applications. Who are they going to consider seriously? The ones that they know the greatest information about, and that happens in those meetings. All right. Also, here's another way that you can collaborate with and build partnerships. Work with larger organizations that are seeking grant funding. Maybe you can be a subcontractor. Maybe they need for another organization to provide resources to fulfill their grant that they can't, and maybe you're that source. It still means that you were awarded grant funding, right, through that larger organization, but it also means that you were able to build a partnership. And you want to be able to drop names on the grant application. Any organization that you're currently partnering with, especially those that are well known, you want to include this information on the application. All right. Now I want to give you an example of this. Let's say you have a reentry program, right? You're helping people who have been released from the criminal justice system to just become productive members of society, right? Now, you have to get to the prisoners before they are released to make sure that they qualify for your program, because everybody wants that recidivism rate to be low. That's the rate at which prisoners go back to jail. I want to hear from you in the chat. What do you think are some of the organizations that this person should be partnering with her reentry program, right? She's got to get to those who are jailed before they are released to make sure that they even qualify for the program. Who do you think she should be connecting with in her community, right? Who do you think she should be connecting with? I want to hear from you in the chat. Who should she be meeting with? She has a reentry program. She's trying to make sure that ex-offenders become productive members. There you go, Carol. Yes, parole departments, churches, right? Brenda, Department of Corrections, absolutely. Colette, pre-release programs, the Office of the Parole, Taisha, absolutely. The warden, Chantel, right? The mayor's office, absolutely. Is it Marquita? Butterfly, workforce development programs. You want the person to be gainfully employed, right? What about the transitional housing? You don't want them to be homeless. Naimi, yes. Naima, career job coaches, absolutely. Mental health services interventions, right? You want them to be mentally stable and mentally healthy. Yes, Darkita, Towards Employment in Cleveland, Ohio is probably our most renowned organization that helps those that are re-entering into society. Do you see how easy this was? We came up with, I don't know, probably 15. Oh, Dress for Success. We probably came up with 15, right? This is your homework, all of you. I need for you to create a list of 5 organizations that you are going to partner with in your community based on your programming. Again, doesn't matter your profit status, small business or nonprofit. I need for you to name 5. This is your homework. And yes, when you write that grant application, doesn't mean that you've established the partnerships, but you can list the ones that you are working on establishing relationships with. That's fine too. But that's your homework. 5. I need for you to name 5 organizations in your community based on your programming. All right. Now, I talked about this before. Diversify your funding sources, donations, sponsorships. I was speaking with a young lady. She has a for-profit. She helps attorneys to market their law firms. These are typically higher income individuals. I told her, you need to go to your luxury car dealership and ask them for a sponsorship. Have them give you $30,000 for the opportunity to place their vehicle, it doesn't matter if it's a Cadillac or a Lexus, Mercedes, whatever, in front of your conference center so that they have to pass that car before they enter into your conference. When you got $30,000, they got advertising, right? So you can all do this. Local businesses, right? This becomes important. So these are all of the resources. And by the way, when it comes to your contracts, did you know that you don't have to be some huge organization to get a contract? You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a coach, you can be a consultant and get a corporate contract or government contract. Don't think that contracts are just for like large organizations. Not true. All right. So these are all of the different funding sources that I want you all to consider in addition to grants. Now, sustainability is important. What is this about? This means that when the grant period is up, let's say you get a grant for a year. After the grant period is gone and you've spent the money, do you have additional resources to keep your business open? This was a huge issue with foundations. So a lot of organizations, they were getting first-time grants. And then all of a sudden, when the grant money was gone, there went the organization. So foundations now are literally asking you to include in your grant application what's called a sustainability plan. How are you going to sustain your organization beyond the period where you get the grant money? Because they don't want the pressure of thinking that if they don't give you grant money in year 2, year 3, year 4, you're going to go under. So you have to come up with ideas. Could be increased advertising. Maybe you say, look, we're going to hire some grant writers, right? Or maybe you are selling products and services, or maybe you're going to increase your advertising. Maybe you're going to hire salespeople, something that will let the foundation know that even when the grant money is gone, I have a sustainability plan where we're going to be okay. We're going to be able to grow and thrive, right? So this is important. You will see this question a lot more on the grant application. That's number 8. Number 9, and I can't talk about this enough. The data. The data. I talked to so many organizations that have been in business for 10 years, 15 years, no data. No data. No idea how to measure the outcomes. You must use real data. How many people do you see a year? How many people have been transformed by your organization, right? How many people have been changed by your organization? You're in medicine. How many people do you see? You have that restaurant. How many people do you serve? You have to be able to incorporate data in these grant applications and make sure you're putting in your SMART goals. They can't be regular goals. You have to put in goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Simply meaning that you can have a goal and just add data and stats. So instead of saying that you want to decrease the poverty level in Cleveland for children, you can say, I want to decrease the poverty level by 5% for Hispanic children in a certain neighborhood in Cleveland. Just add your data, add your stats to get your SMART goals. This becomes so important. That's number 9. Data just keep thinking data. How can I add data to show how effective I am at whatever it is that I do? All right. And then just so you know, there's just a continued boom in terms of grants for technology and innovation. So if you are providing a digital solution, a technology solution, are you creating an app? What are you doing with AI? There's always grants for this particular area, right? But continue to be able to highlight the project and how maybe it's using new tools or methods to increase the impact. So maybe you're not laser focused on AI or digital solutions, but you can indicate, I have a new method. I have a new tool that's going to improve healthcare or improve education or improve, climate action, climate change. At the end of the day, you have to show why you. What is it that you're bringing to the table that's different than someone else? And usually it's about your background. And too many organizations are literally afraid to talk about why they're different. And foundations, they don't want to read these cookie cutter applications. What brought you to the table? Why did you start your organization? What was happening in your life, right? What were your experiences that said, I need to do this. I need to address this issue. I need to solve this problem. It goes in the grant application. It will help you. It will serve you when you talk about how unique you are rather than someone else. So don't be afraid, right? Especially when you're talking about the history, to get a little personal, right? To get a little personal. Keep asking the questions, right? Because I see some really great ones. And yes, as a Christian-based organization, absolutely, there are grants available. Do you know that there are grants available to churches? So yes, I will be happy to answer that question. And then just invest in writing and increasing your writing skills, whether it's an online grant writing course, workshop. If you're submitting your grant application, have someone review it. Review successful proposals that have won money, right? And that's what we're about to do right now. So I'm going to walk you through a grant application that I wrote. And what was really different about this application is usually you want to, especially if it's a larger organization, right? You want to try to have some connection to that organization. Maybe, you know, an employee there. Sometimes on the grant application, they will ask you, are you connected with our employees? And I was working for a veterans organization started by a SEAL Team 6 member. And his focus was PTSD. And there was a program where literally he would take veterans off into remote areas of the country and put them back into a team environment and really help them through their healing, their PTSD, because many of them were suicidal. And so I was writing a grant. And this particular grant was for a railroad company. And it was really important, like for me, that we got this grant because we wanted to establish this relationship with this railroad, a pretty major railroad company. And let me show you how I addressed the questions on an application for a major organization for which we had zero connection. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and start sharing again. I'm going to pull up. Da, 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 da. I'm going to pull up the document. There we go. All right. So I'm going to try to go slowly. So we'll just call this the Railway Foundation, right? It was a $9,000 grant. It wasn't that it was a significant amount of money. It was the fact that we wanted to build this relationship with this railway organization. And this happened to have been a nonprofit. Again, they were offering like this 5-day remote experience in nature to help heal veterans with PTSD. And the program, right, operated in 2 of the states right, where the railway serviced. So there was a little connection there because we were operating in two of the states where this railway was operating, 501(c)(3), right? I'm going to go through this slowly. So what I want you to notice is that when we talked about the mission, we got right to the point. Our mission is to put clients back in a team environment which fosters camaraderie, trust, and inspires the realization that any challenge, no matter how great, can be overcome. Quick and to the point. Now, chief executive, that information was pretty clear, but this is what I want you to see. As the grant writer, I was the applicant contact because this particular executive director was oftentimes out in the middle of nowhere, right? So there needed to be a person who was able to answer questions just in case that railway calls. So for those of you who are grant writers, it is very much okay for you to include your information as the contact on a grant application, right? Now, this happened to have been for project support. Now, let me say to you, there's two kinds of grants. One for operating support, which is usually grants where you want to shore up your infrastructure. You want to pay for your administrative costs, like your salaries or IT, right? Or to build a website or to pay for your lease. And then you have your project or service grants. Now, only about 32% of foundations give to this general operating support grant, which we love, right? Because you literally can put the money wherever you want when you get an operating grant. Most organizations, you have to use the money for a particular project or service. And in this particular application, they were clear, like we discouraged requesting general operating support, which meant that we knew we had to apply this money to a particular project, which was fine because the project would be one excursion, right, off into a remote area, servicing like maybe 10 veterans. All right. So this is something else you need to understand. The entire project budget was $30,000, but we were only asking for $9,000, which was typical as to what they gave. So if you find out what the typical grant amount is that the organization provides, go for that amount. But as you can see, it didn't equal the entire cost of the project. It only equaled a portion of it because the $9,000 would pay for like 3 people, and the entire program could host 10 people, right? So again, we defined our target, and this is what all of you should know. You can't help everybody. You should have one, maybe two target populations. That's it. Some of you have 7, 8, 9, 10 because you're trying to help everybody that comes your way. You cannot help everyone. Focus on one or two target populations, and then you can always provide a referral for the others so that they can get help from other specialists. And your target could be your community. Maybe you open up that restaurant, it's an Italian restaurant, so that's what you want to focus on. Or maybe you want to focus on people that live within a 2-mile radius of your restaurant. But it's usually best, usually, to have one, maybe two target populations, right? So we clearly define we were focused on veterans and those that were physically disabled, right? Now, this is important because oftentimes an application will ask you, what other funding sources do you have? What are the other ways in which you're going to fund your program? And too many of you are really hesitant to include the other grant money that you receive, thinking, well, if I indicate that I'm receiving other grant money, they may not give me the grant. That's just not true because foundations literally don't want to be seen as your only source of support. It's a win for you to say that I'm getting grant money from other organizations, right? So in this particular grant, our program was $30,000. We were asking for $9,000 from this railway. So we indicated that, yes, we're going to get the other $21,000 from other funding sources. And that's okay. They specifically asked this question, like, what are your other funding sources? Because if you indicate, right, that it's a $100,000 program and you're asking them for $9,000 and you have no way of raising the other $91,000, there's a slim chance that you're going to get the grant because they're going to realize that where are you getting the other money to fund your program. And if you have applied for other funding, you can just put pending. If you haven't received the money, you can just indicate pending. All right. Now, they next talked about the community's need, like how are we serving the community? And if you notice, the first thing I wrote was the problem. What is the problem in the community? Per the VA, veterans experience PTSD at high rates. Between 11 and 20% of veterans served in Operation Iraqi Freedom or Enduring Freedom, and 12% of Gulf War veterans have PTSD. Currently, 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. So I hit the application with the problem, and then I indicate that we have the solution. We help veterans successfully transition back to civilian life and regain their purpose through curriculum and off-road expeditions at a remote base camp. And I go on to talk about why we have the solution specifically. And then I showed my impact and my results. Thus far, year by year, how many people have we served? How many people that have come through our program literally show a measurable decrease in depression and anxiety year by year, and a decrease in PTSD, right? And then I went on to explain how do I measure the results and what are the metrics? What am I using? I'm using the idea of improved mental, emotional, and psychological behavior, less depression, less PTSD symptoms, and improved family relations. This is how we know they're getting better. They have an increase in their community engagement. And we know this from feedback and testimonials, and we do these evaluations, right, through surveys. I love surveys. All of you should be using surveys. So we provided a survey before the course, 30 days after the course, and then 6 months after the course. Again, measurables, impact, right? And this is how I believe we ended up getting this grant, because there was a specific question that said, what is your relevance to the Railway Foundation, right? We knew no one there. We didn't have any inside person who could vouch for us or, take a look at our application. And so I'm thinking, let me do some research. And in doing research, right, I found that they were funding in the area of health and human services with a focus on chemical dependency treatment and prevention. Well, we were preventing suicide. We were dealing with people, right, that had mental health and wellness issues. So we talked about how veterans in our program were addicted to drugs and alcohol as a way of self-medicating depression and PTSD, connecting it with where they were funding. They're funding health and human services, chemical dependency. That's who we're helping, right? And then in the research, this is how I made the connection. I researched and I said that there is a history between railroad systems like this one, BSNF, and veterans. Per the Association of American Railroads, railroads have been a vital partner in U.S. military operations for nearly 200 years. They have transported troops and supplies, hauled the raw materials needed for weapons and planes, and actively hired veterans. So that was it. That was the connection between the history of railroads and veterans. And here we are serving veterans. Is that clear to everyone? Do you see how we made that connection? Yes, give me a yes. Give me a yes if you see how I made a connection when there really wasn't any, right? But I did a little research, right? And then on to the budget. You must itemize your expenses. So I didn't say, we just need $9,000. We're going to spend it to help these 3 veterans. No, I was specific. Be specific. The $9,000 grant was going to pay for 3 veterans at $3,000 each to complete a 5-day program. And I literally broke down how we were spending the $9,000. Contractor fees of $2,450, including the leader, instructors, the medic, the videographer, the chef, $2,000 for transportation to get the veterans to this remote place, equipment, right? There were excursions that utilized snowmobiles, supplies, including food for 5 days, right? a little bit of marketing in there for the program, but I was specific in how I broke down the $9,000. And then here's that sustainability, right? How do you intend to finance your programs or this project in the future, right? And so we included one that we had sponsors and name drop. I listed, look, we have sponsors such as Jeep, right? Aramark, Coleman, they make the camping equipment. And it also indicated that there was a grant writer hired to help secure continuous funding to be able to sustain the program. So between grant money coming from the grant writer, me, and then sponsorships, letting them know that in future years, we had a way to sustain the program. All right. So again, they're talking about community support. So what did I do? I listed local organizations for which we were partnering with. This Talkwadi Lodge in Wyoming, right? Jeep Jamboree, Coleman, these were all local organizations that we were going to work with. And also, we were considered a FEMA train the trainer. So of course, I'm going to include that name. Everybody knows FEMA. So here we are being connected with FEMA because we were certified as a FEMA train the trainer. So we could train organizations that train others and community response. All right. And here's a very important question. Do you require financial contributions as a condition of board membership? I received a question not too long ago. A young lady asked me, how much should I be paying my board? How much should you be paying your board? Your board should be paying you. Your board should be providing fees to you, right? The only boards that are paid are your major conglomerations, right? You're a small nonprofit, you're a small business. Your board should be contributing their time and oftentimes paying you a fee. Therefore, you see questions like this because if I had said no, they're going to be thinking, well, if you're not even getting financial contributions from your board, why are you coming to us for money? You're not even getting money from your internal sources. So yes, it is not unusual for a board to be paying you a fee. That's all a part of the board orientation. And you decide what the fee is. The fee could be $100 a year, $50 a year, whatever it is, right? But that's a part of how they serve your nonprofit, right? Is to pay some type of a fee. And so we talked about like what was the minimum amount that was being given by the board. It was $15,000. And then look at this question here. How many board members actively participate in your programs? Because if you're indicating that you have a board of 5 and no one comes to your events, no one participates, no one shows up to your openings or any part of your programming, not a good look. Not a good look. And as you can see, there was no railway employee involvement. You see the question right here. No railway employee involvement at all. We were able to make that connection. And last but not least, anytime a grant application is asking you for any additional information that you maybe want to give them, always say yes. This is where you can literally put in a link to that video, right? That talks about your organization. All of you should have a video, 2 to 3 minute video that sums up what you do. We should include testimonials. So this is where you can include links to videos. But this is where I talked about the founder and the fact that he was an ex-Navy SEAL Team 6 member, right? Because a lot of people know what SEAL Team 6 means. And then I talked about what happens after the program and how we are still engaged with those that finish the program through email, phone, social media to help make sure that they're implementing what they were taught in the course. And then I talked about how we evaluate the program. It's the board of directors. Who evaluates your programs, right? And then, of course, I attached a video testimonial. All right. So here's another question that I often get. They ask, describe the amount and conditions for payment to the fundraising professional named above for all services rendered. So they want to know, as the grant writer, who's paying me? Who's paying me? Because they want to make absolutely sure that I am not going to be paid from this grant money. Because this grant money was going to the program, not to pay the grant writer. And many of you must understand that you can't pay the grant writer out of the grant proceeds, right? Because you can't use grant proceeds to pay for any services that took place before you got the award letter. So I had to specifically state that I was being paid through a private donation for the organization. Is that clear? All right. We are done with the walkthrough. Any questions you have, drop them into the chat. So I'm going to stop there and then start back with the presentation. All right. So what are the next steps? Identify at least 5 funding sources from this webinar, right? Reframe your mission statement to align with the 2025 funding trends if you have to. Like, learn how to write the best grant application to showcase your organization. Apply for at least 3 new grants in the next 60 days. But follow up with your funders. Meet with them. Research, right? There's Grant Watch. There's Grant Station. There's the Foundation Directory Online. Those are 3 important grant opportunities where you can research grants, right? Grant Station, Grant Watch, the Foundation Directory Online, those 3. And the Foundation Directory Online is free at your local library, free at your local library. The Foundation Directory Online is free. And then Grant Watch is like maybe $20 a week or $200 for the year. And then you have Grant Station. I'm going to drop these into the chat. So you've got Grant Watch, $20 a week or $200 for the whole year. And they do provide the actual grant application and who is the sponsor and the contact information, right? Or you've got the Foundation Directory Online, free at your local library, totally free, or $50 a month to subscribe. Google is fine, but I prefer that you use actual grant portals, right, to do your research. And then the last one is definitely Grant Station. I love Grant Station because I think they do the best job of providing many different categories of how and where you need funding. All right, that's per year. All right, so I dropped that into, that went to the wrong place. So let me do this one more time. Make sure that goes to everyone. Instrumental is great, but Instrumental is $200 a month, and not everyone can afford Instrumental. I have used Instrumental for a number of years, but it's pricey. It's $200 a month. Now, I have to say, I have found grants in Instrumental that I didn't find anywhere else. I have to say that. So if you can afford Instrumental, use Instrumental, but it's $200 a month, which is pretty pricey. And there are other ways for you to seek and get grants, like the 3 that I just dropped. And again, Foundation Directory Online, which is also called Candid, free at your local library. All right. So this is one I share with you to be able to help you through this grant maze. I created a grant writing course. It includes my coaching. It teaches you how to write every part of the grant application, from the mission to the impact statement to the statement of need, right? But it also includes my coaching, and that makes the difference, because if you meet with that foundation, do you know what to say? Do you know how to say? Do you know what to bring with you? Do you know what to listen for or what to showcase? That's where the coaching comes in. You come into our private Facebook group, you let us know what's going on. We will answer your question. A real person, not a bot. All right. Now, the course will teach you how to do the grant research regardless of your industry. But do you know how much money to ask for? Do you know whether or not you should be asking for maybe your project or program or service funding or operational money to shore up that infrastructure? That's where you come into the Facebook group and you ask and you get that information. You get 12 modules, 35 lessons. There's a video in front of every single lesson. Now, this is where the course is different. I've been hired over the past 17 years to literally build grant applications. So I have used the questions from real grant applications to build this course. So you are answering real grant questions, only now you're doing so in an environment of support where you can get answers to your questions just in case you get stuck. So when you are done, you have an in-depth grant template that you are now using to start applying to grant applications. Because the questions that I ask you are from real grant applications. So you are doing the deep work in the course, but with help. And you get real grant examples in every grant in this course won money. And I do something nobody else in the country is doing. I give you a list of over 600 funders. And I talked about the private Facebook group. For those of you who are with me, who are in the Facebook group, it is everything because the students want every other student to win grant money. And you know what? They drop more grants than I do, and I drop a lot of grants in the Facebook group. So if you want to know where there are grants, the Facebook group, and you come here with any question that you have, and you get the support you need. And I even give you an hour of live group coaching with me every month, live group coaching, get you unstuck, answer your questions so that you can not just write a lot of grant applications, but you can start winning grant money with the coaching. Now, this is not what you're paying. This is what the course is worth because it's on the university level, only you actually get more. 12 modules, 35 lessons, worth $3,549. I've had this course audited 3 times now. Intro videos worth $5.99. The funding list is worth $4.99. And yes, you get workbooks and planners and grant trackers because you have to stay on track. You have to stay organized. So we make that easy for you, $350. This is what I want you to see. Yes, the course is a $5,000 course. $997 like my regular price. I keep it discounted for $497 because this is how I serve this community. And those of you who know me know this is how I serve the community. Now, I have services that are significantly higher, right? But I keep this course low because guess what? People are getting grant money. People are going through the course and winning grant because it is a proven course. I keep it low to help as many people as I can. And right now, with everything that is going on, I want you to have this level of support. So I reduce it even further. So now it's $297 for the next 3 days. You take $200 off because you came on the webinar. As I always say, I know you could have been somewhere else at 7 o'clock tonight, but you decided to get the help. And so I give you the extra $200 off. It's $297. It's even that's tax deductible, by the way. Tax deductible, you even write it off, right? Use the code top 2025. If you need 2 months to pay, right, you may. $175 now, $175 a month from now. That's for everything I talked about. The course, the Facebook group, the live group coaching, right? Make sure you put a T on the end of the code. Let us know you want the 2-month payment, top 2025T. And by the way, you read the bottom right. When do you see that? You know courses expire after 3 months or 6 months. My course never expires. I'm literally here to help, right? So this is everything you get. The link to buy the course, if you want it, is in the chat. It's $297. It's self-paced. It's all digital. You come into the Facebook group for help, and we get you that help. You come to the live group coaching call for help, right? But it's $297. It is literally as low as I can take it because you need help right now. The grant money is available. You saw that. Whatever you do, I don't want you to be discouraged and think that, oh my gosh, there's no money available. Because that's what people I think would like for you to do is just give up and be discouraged. Somebody's getting $189 billion, right? Why not you? but get the help that you need. All right. So you've got 3 days to get the $200 off. If you are interested in buying the course, this is what you do. You hit the link for the $297. Make sure you hit $497 because you're taking $200 off of that amount. You will see this page here. Make sure you put in your coupon code, right? That's important. The coupon code. So top 2025. You see this little block here. If you want a private VIP session with me, this is it. It's a private coaching session, you and me. I do a deep dive into your organization because before we're going to talk about grants, I'm going to go through your mission, your vision, your infrastructure, your target population. Then we're going to deal with your services or your programs or your projects. And you get a mini list of local and national grants. It's $495 because it is a strategy session and you do get the video and the strategy notes. The only time you'll see it discounted to $195 is if you buy it with the course. You can add it on to the $297. And for those of you who want to pay the $297, we make it even easier. We have buy now, pay later. Yes, for even this low amount. Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, you can spread it out 4 months, same as cash, 4 months. You'll probably get a grant before you've even paid for the course, right? Which you're going to write off, by the way, because it's 100% tax deductible. And yes, you get a certificate when you are done. If you want to just move through with the 4 month same as cash, input your coupon code. It will take off 200. It's $297. You can add the $195 if you want. Put in your email address and then keep hitting these blocks. You might see pay another way or another way to pay until you see Affirm, Klarna, or Afterpay. If you want to take advantage, if not, we'll take a credit card, Cash App, Google Pay, PayPal. Or you might just want to pay us 2 times. That's fine. Hit the 2 times $275. That's the 2 month payment plan. You hit it, you input the code. Remember, input your code because it will take off $100 from that $275. So now you're only paying $175 now and then $175 a month from now. And yes, you can add on the $195. For those of you who may want more extensive help, I have a 2-day boot camp coming up. It's 2 months worth of work in 2 days. If you don't want to take weeks or months, you're ready to go. This is a grant boot camp. It's March 27th and March 28th. By the time we're done on day 2, you will know how to write a grant. You will know how to use artificial intelligence to write a grant, right? You will have a list of your community partners. We will complete with you a grant template. And by the time you are done, you will have completed a grant application because we're going to create with you, right, a list of local and national grants. And we will choose one of those grants. We're going to help you complete that grant application. And you walk away with an implementation plan so that you know exactly what you should be doing in the next 3 months and 6 months. It's $1,997 for the 2 days or 2 payments of $1,249. All right, that link is being dropped in the chat. If you want ongoing support, you need the accountability, you want to meet with me every month. I have a 3 month program that's $1997. We meet 3 times, and then I will complete a grant review. Now, that's typically $1,500 just for me to complete a grant review. That's included. And by the way, the boot camp and the coaching, you get the course. You get the course, right? So you can either purchase a 3 month program or a 6 month program. With the 6 month program, we meet 6 times, and I triple the number of grant reviews, all placing you in a position to get grant money. So this ongoing grant coaching just gives you accountability and a strategy, and we do research. And I make sure that you are applying for these grants, and I review the grants. All right. So those are the 3 opportunities, right? Let me just show you. These are all students who just bought the course. That's 200 some odd dollars. Whitney got $200,000 just from the course, just from buying the course and following my advice. Remember I said you start local? She got $40,000 from the local company. Then she went national. She got $50,000 from the National Birth Equity Collaborative. If there is a utility company in your community that has a foundation, please apply. They typically fly under the radar, but most utility companies that are larger, they have foundations. Kanisha, not even 2 months ago, got $100,000. Think about the investment, 200 some odd dollars. That, by the way, you write off. The massage company got $20,000. Alicia got $40,000, right? Christina, $10,000 and a year's mentorship. She said I would not even have had the confidence to follow through on applying for grants if it wasn't for her grant writing course. People, you have to do this scared, even if you're scared. This is free money. You have to do it scared. Guess who got the LegalZoom grant? Emily, one of my students. Quenisha, she got that elusive Walmart grant. It is very hard to get a Walmart grant. She bought the one-on-one. And she said, Linda Peavy, I laugh whenever I see this. She said, that one-on-one we had is getting my organization funded. All right. So these are real people in the Facebook group. Now, this is what I'm giving to you as an extra bonus because artificial intelligence is not coming as here. This is my $99 AI grant guide, 10 steps to easier and faster grant writing. I will give that to you for free because I need for you to be in position to know how to write better, and to get these grants. I will give that to you totally free if you buy the course, right? Over the next 3 days. All right, totally free. We'll teach you how to write AI. You get this with the $297 course, right? You'll get the AI guide. All right. Now, it's Q&A time. It's Q&A time. All right. Now, before you go anywhere, don't go anywhere because I need for you to do something not for me, but for you. I believe in manifestation, people. It is March 20th. First of all, there's more money available at the beginning of the year, right? So time is out for waiting. Like you can't wait anymore. You can't procrastinate anymore. It's going to be more difficult. The competition is going to be even greater because of what's happening at the federal level. I need for you to do this for you because some of you have been waiting for a long time. Procrastination, right? Procrastination. But your success, and I'm saying this to all of you because I've been there, your success is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of fear, right? Some things you got to do it scared. But know that I'm literally here to support you. I'm here to get you through this. You come into the Facebook group and you ask me the questions or the live group coaching call. I have people who are professional grant writers who take the course. They're in the Facebook group. So I want you to do this for you. Before you leave into the chat, I want you to write, I am ready to get grant money. Like get this from up here, through these fingers, through that keyboard, or whatever it is you're using, your cell phone, and I want it in the chat. I want it out of you and into the universe, right? I'm ready to get grant money. Katrina said, I've been ready. Okay. Chantel, Kawana, Wanda, Aaron, Sandy, Markethia, Laya, Barbara, write this down. Katie and Jennifer, get this out of you. Quincy, Donna, Alicia, get this out of you. This is not for me. This is for you because you know some of you have been waiting a long time. Mariella, Nikki, write this down. Alicia, I'm ready to get grant money. Donna, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? Angela, Katrina, Butterfly, like get this, manifest this, right? Rodrigo, Annie, this is not for me. This is for you. This is for you. I talk to you all the time. I talk to people all the time. You're waiting because you're scared. You don't know about these grants. You don't know how to write grants. You don't know where to find them. Here you have the opportunity for $297. Look, I have coaches. They think I'm crazy. They know I should be charging $2,000 for the course. And I have colleagues that charge $2,000 for their course. You don't even get what I'm giving you. No access to them whatsoever. You'll see me every month in the live on the group coaching call, and you'll see me in the Facebook group because I'm in there all the time. I always kid you'll be sick of seeing this face in the Facebook group, right? Right? Laya says, took the time to gather my data. That's what I'm talking about because it is called. What are you waiting on, people? What are you waiting on? Erica, Amy, write this down. Alicia, Desmion, right? Like you got to do this for you. I have a coach that tells me all the time, Linda, you are the one you've been waiting for. Like nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save our nonprofits or our small businesses. It's got to be this and this, right? You've got to do this. You've got to do this. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save my business. My coach has drilled this in my head. Linda, you're the one you've been waiting on. And I share that with you. You are the ones you've been waiting on. You can do this. I'm sorry, this is a small amount of money for what you're getting. It just is. And then I give you the opportunity to pay over 2 months or to pay over 4 months. You're going to have to invest just a little bit, just a little bit. This is free money. The testimonials that I showed you, I'm not making that up. Those people are in the Facebook group. $200,000, $100,000, $40,000, $750, right? Yes, Barbara, you know who I'm talking about. My coach, Lamar Tyler. We're the ones we've been waiting for, right? We're the ones we've been waiting for. He says that all the time. You're the one that you've been waiting for. And I share that with you. I share that with you. Yes. All right. It's Q&A time. So somebody asked me the difference between a grant and a sponsorship, and I will answer. All right. How do you find startup grants? You're going to search for them in the way in which I showed you. There are two startup grants that I know of right now. I'm going to drop them into the chat. Sky's the Limit and Busy. Now, those are for anyone, but there's one for women called Amber Grants for Women. So just you're going to have to place those in Google and get the right link. So those you search for startup grants. So for example, if you use grantwatch.com, there's literally a little box where you can check startup or entrepreneur, and it will give you a list of grants available for startups. Should AI be used to write grants? Absolutely. I've explained all about AI. I have a hard time wording a proposal, and there are certain words that should not be used that will automatically dismiss a grant. I mean, I'm sure there are probably a whole list of words that you shouldn't be using. This is why you need a program like Grammarly. I'm going to drop this into the chat. I think all of you should be using Grammarly. It is a free software editing tool. It will help you write that proposal. And this is where AI comes in. Remember, if you buy the course, you get the AI guide. You can write your proposal and drop the entire proposal into ChatGPT and it will rewrite it for you. All right. So that will help you. But as far as words that you don't want to use that will automatically dismiss grants, you don't want to indicate, for example, if I receive the grant money, I'm going to do what I want to do with it. Or if I receive the grant money, I don't know when I'm going to be able to give you your grantee report, right? Everything needs to be shaped in the form of impact. This is how I measure my impact. This is how I change lives. This is how I serve my community, whatever it is, right? You could be a for-profit, you could have a cleaning company. But what sets you apart? One of my customers is a cleaning company. He's a student in the course. And I said, what makes you different? Maybe you use like green cleaning supplies, right? Maybe you use cleaning supplies, right? That don't make pets sick. Like, what is it that is making you different? All right. What is it that is making you different? All right. Excuse me. What are the most common mistakes applicants make when writing grants? Not using data, not having a mission statement, not aligning your mission statement to the mission statement of the organization, not aligning what you are providing with where they fund. Some organizations, they see the grant money and they apply for the grant, and it's just a complete waste of time because the grant wasn't even meant for them, right? Again, they could be funding a veterans organization and the grant could be for K through 12 education. All they saw was $50,000. No alignment there. No way to measure your data. No way to indicate proof that you are doing what you say you're doing. Measuring impact, right? Being clear on who you serve. You can't serve everybody. The more you pile on to yourself, the less energy you have for every single target population. You can't help 10 different target populations at one time, right? So choose one or two because that's how foundations give. They give according to target populations. All right. So those are just a few. I'm going to get over to the webinar chat. I'm just going through the Q&A first. How can we effectively demonstrate the need for funding in our proposal? That depends on what the need is. You do data, you do research, right? You would be amazed how much data you can get from the Census Bureau, totally free data. So let's say you have could be a program that services those who live in poverty in your community. You can go to the Census Bureau and say, in my community, 30% of the population lives below the federal poverty line. We have an issue with poverty. This is why there's a need for my organization. Or as you saw me indicate, if you serve veterans, 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. So you're using data. And Google is your friend. Or use AI to get your data. AI, oh my gosh. I did the private session a couple of weeks ago in Seattle and taught everybody how to use AI. It's just amazing. AI will give you the data that you're looking for to justify your organization. All right. What is the best grant to apply for a first-time assistant living business? So that's a startup grant. That's a startup grant. Assistant living. So I want to take an example here. He's saying, what is the best grant to apply for a first-time assistant living business? So for each and every one of what you do, I could probably come up with 4 or 5 different categories where you should be seeking grant funding. So first-time assistant living business, right? So first-time business, that's a startup grant. All right. The name is, I won't say the name, but I believe this is a woman. I believe it is. I don't know. So I'm guessing. If it is, you can apply for a grant because you're a woman-owned business. That's 2 areas, right? Assistant living, right? That's literally the medical and health community. That's number 3. So now you're looking for grants that are geared towards organizations that serve in the medical and health community. Assistant living oftentimes addresses the elderly. That's number 4. So now you can be searching for grants for organizations that give money to those that serve the elderly population. 4 completely different areas where you should be searching for grants. All right. All right. How can we establish credibility if we are a newer organization with limited past performance? Talk about the need. Focus on the need. Why are you existing? Why do you exist? Why did you open? What's going on? What problem are you addressing? What issue is it that you are addressing with your organization? Demonstrate that there is a need for you to exist, right? So focus on getting that data to show that foundation that even though you are new, you are needed. Okay. I was just asked to be the board president of Veterans Home Services, a nonprofit organization in New Jersey. I done 40, and then I will do the 497 one. Where do I start looking? And thank you for everything. So it's actually 297 if you get the discount. All right. So it's the same thing. So for veterans, that's a target population. So when you go to Grant Watch, there's literally a category called veterans that you check. When you go to Grant Station, there's literally a category that you check for veterans. You go to the foundation directory online, there's literally a category of who you serve. You check the box veterans. It won't be difficult for you to find these funds because the target population literally is a box that you check on all 3 of those grant portals. All right. Melissa, if you could please drop my email into the webinar chat. This is very important. Please put my email into your safe senders list or your email contact list, because you're getting the replay to your email, and I just don't want it going to your spam folder. All right. hello@grantwritingfornonwriters.com. What is it? Excellent question. What is the best way to build relationships with potential funders? Meet with them in person. That's the number one way. Number two, go to their events. Are they having a community town hall? Are they having a annual meeting? Most foundations, you can attend their annual meetings, are usually like, bigger events. Go to their events and make yourself known. Meet with their personnel at their events and make yourself known. You need a 60-second elevator pitch. That's actually something I do in the boot camp, right? We create your 60-second elevator pitch. And in the boot camp, I do mock interviews so that you are ready to meet with that foundation. That's part of what happens in the boot camp. We will do mock interviews so that you are ready to meet with that foundation. It's 2 months worth of work in 2 days. It is. All right. How do you figure out some things that should be included in your budget when you're first starting out in your nonprofit? What do you need? You have to ask yourself, what are the items, supplies, or personnel that you need? And that's different for every nonprofit. You have to ask yourself, what do you need to operate over the course of a year? You have to estimate those expenses because you have to have some idea of how much grant money to ask for. So yes, you should be looking for operating money, especially if you are new, to shore up your infrastructure, right? You need to pay the executive director, or at least pay yourself as an independent contractor. You need supplies. What do you need? Every organization needs something different, right? Do you need a website? Do you need some money to market your organization? Do you have a for-profit? Maybe you have that restaurant, you need some marketing money. So you have to determine what you need, right? Please provide tips and advice for startups that do not have historical data. So if you are a startup, you don't have historical data, but you know what you do have? Data that will showcase why you are attempting to start up. Why are you creating this organization? What's happening? That's the data you're not going to use, because once again, you're going to showcase that there is a need for you to be in existence. And you can also utilize your background. So let's say you want to start a tutoring organization, right? You're a startup. You're starting a brand new tutoring organization in math or reading. I don't think it would be difficult for you to be able to showcase the math and reading scores of students in your community to showcase that tutoring is needed. Or maybe you are a retired principal, right? So while you don't have historical data, you have information to say that, look, I've been teaching for 25 years. I've been a principal for 10 years. This is what I bring to the table, right? This is where you are using your own experience to let that foundation know that, one, you know what you're doing. You have firsthand experienced the deficits in reading and math, and this is why you want to open up this tutoring organization. All right. Okay, so that's just for the Q&A and the Q&A box. I'm going over to the webinar chat. I'm going to go slowly because I know there were quite a few questions in here. And so, yes, you write off the course. The course is tax deductible. And yes, you get a certificate when you are done. So when you complete the course, you get a certificate. If you are a nonprofit, you're not paying taxes if you have the 501c3, right? But you're listing the course as an expense, right? If you are for profit, it's a business expense. It is a business expense. All right. What we need to do, we need to welcome Quincy. Quincy bought the course. I need to see some clapping of hands. I need to see some love for Quincy. Quincy, you're on your way. For those of you who are buying the course, you'll get 3 emails. One will be the email, with the link to the Facebook group. You want to be in the Facebook group. Then you'll get an email where you create your username and password. You're not waiting for me. You get started. And then another welcome email. And for those of you who are buying the course, when you get in the Facebook group, this is important. I'm going to ask you a question. When you answer my question, I'm going to help you out right then and there. Once you answer the question, I'm going to help you specifically. If you answer my question, I will give you help when you get into the Facebook group, right? Because no time for procrastination, right? We need to put ourselves in a position to get grant money. There are people waiting on your skills and your talents, waiting for you, right? To manifest something that you've been wanting to open for years and didn't know how. And you're being given some guidance now and some help. All right. Because again, I know some of you have self-funded the entire time. I spoke to a nonprofit earlier today. 15 years literally just crushed me. 15 years she had her nonprofit, not one dime in grant money. Didn't know how, didn't know where to look, didn't know what to do. All right. So I am going to the webinar chat. Let's see. Questions. I'm going to go slowly. Let's see. I have a small for-profit. I am considering would my mission be better served as a nonprofit. That I can't tell you. I can't tell anyone if you should be a nonprofit or for-profit. Those are two totally different legal entities. Small biz, and I run a nonprofit Little League program. Speaking of Little League, this is another opportunity for all of you. What you're asking for shouldn't necessarily be grant money always, right? Shouldn't always be grant money. This person has a Little League program. This person should be going to Dick's Sporting Goods and asking for a $1,000 gift card to buy equipment, right? So you're not always seeking grant money. You may also be seeking gift cards from major organizations. Dick's Sporting Goods, they're great at that, right? Providing just gift cards. Do you feed the homeless? Kroger. Kroger actually has one of the largest foundations in Ohio. Go to Kroger and ask for a gift card so that you can buy food for the homeless, right? Or Whole Foods, they also are quite generous, right? So it's not always about grant money, but this is where you do what? You connect with your local community. All right. All right. Let's see. Hello from Columbus. Author, literary event curator, editor, and book coach. Yes, there are grants for authors. So I was asked to create a special presentation for a group of authors on Facebook. It was a Facebook group. And that's where I was able to really do a deep dive and learn that, yes, there are grants for writers. Yes. Let's see. Are there still grants for BIPOC or women, or there? So I addressed that. The Black, Indigenous, people of color, and grants for women. Absolutely. There are still grants that are geared towards Black, Indigenous, people of color. And there are still grants that are geared towards women. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, please don't think that you're too small. Amarillo, they're in Texas. All they do is give grant money to super small organizations. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a solopreneur and get grant money, right? Or maybe you don't have some huge organizational chart. This is another place where Amarillo gives, right? All volunteer organizations can get grant money. All volunteer organizations. You don't need some huge organizational chart. You don't. You just don't. You need impact. All right. All right. So I'm moving through here. So I talked about the best sites for searching for grants. Are grants different from applying for crowdfunding? Absolutely. That is crowdfunding is an alternative method for you to raise money. So you're seeking money from the public. When you are crowdfunding, grants, you're applying specifically to foundations. All right. Can one get a grant with only an EIN? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm not sure what you're asking. So ask me that again in a different way, because I'm not sure what you're really asking with only an EIN. Are you a small business? You have an EIN? If you are a small business, are you a legitimate business? Do you have your articles of incorporation? In some states, you must have a business license to conduct business. Ohio is that way. Florida is that way. And in Wyoming, you don't need a business license, but check with your Secretary of State. Keep in mind, you're asking for free grant money, right? Are you a legitimate business? The foundation needs to know that you're legitimate before they give you even $1,000. And by the way, I get asked this question all the time, so I'm just going to answer it. No, they don't check your credit scores because grant money is geared towards either your nonprofit or your small business. I have never seen in my 17 years a foundation check someone's credit score. All right. Literary grants, yes. So literary grants can come in many different avenues. Let's say you're putting on a conference, right? Or a literary conference. You can apply for grants to support your literary conference. So now you're in reading, right? So now you should be seeking grants that are geared towards organizations that fund nonprofits or for-profits like you that address reading. All right. Let's see. How helpful are AI tools? I went over AI. All right, let's see. So do we have to change the wording on our websites if our business cater to DEI? I would advise you to do that. I would advise you to do that and use some of the terminology that I talked about in this presentation. All right. Would you use the term underserved communities in a grant application? Absolutely. Those are the terms that you're going to be using now, right? Instead of Black, right? Or Hispanic. You're going to be using underserved or underrepresented, right? How do we tweak our event? Is built around a DEI event, My Juneteenth Bash, Black Authors Spotlight on Heritage. I also have another event that is all for authors, right? So I'm not saying you're not changing who you serve, right? So if you have a Juneteenth bash, this is what I would recommend to you or anybody else that is having an event. Seek sponsorships, right? When you seek a sponsorship, they're less rigid in terms of the qualifications, right? It's a lot less rigid. And you may find that there are organizations that want to fund you because you're putting on a Juneteenth event, right? So it's not everyone, it's not everybody. But if you're writing a particular grant, again, it's who you are pursuing. Go to the foundation's website. This is where you must start. So if you're seeking a grant from a foundation, they may be as clear as Kellogg or Ford Foundation that, look, we serve DEI, we serve underrepresented communities. Look for those words, underrepresented, underserved. And you know they're going to be talking about your target population. All right. But at the same time, there may be organizations in your community, local, who want to give you money because you're putting on a Juneteenth bash for Black authors. All right. All right. Let's see. Other questions? I'm getting down to the end here. So a Christian-based organization, right? Don't think that because you are a church or that you are a faith-based organization that there are no grants. That's just not true. So again, when you are searching for your grants, check off the box faith-based. And you will get a list of grants that are geared towards faith-based organizations. Again, if you go to either Grant Station or Grant Watch or the Foundation Directory online, check off that box, faith-based, right? There are many organizations that give to, excuse me, faith-based organizations, but at the same time, what are you doing? I'm going to take a sip here. What are you doing as a Christian-based organization? Because there are probably millions of Christian-based organizations. What are you doing differently? What services are you providing? Do you have a outreach ministry? Are you teaching computer skills at your church? Do you have a homeless ministry? Do you have a daycare center? Daycare centers, there's significant money for daycare centers, right? What are you doing? It can't be just because you have a Christian-based organization. That's for all of you. All right. Where do you get data for our communities? Go to the Census Bureau. I'm going to put this in here. And oh, Melissa, do you still have that link specifically for the Census Bureau? But go to the Census Bureau. I'm going to stick this in here. It is the first place for you to get data on educational attainment in your community, the level of poverty, ethnicity, right? Census.gov. Okay, I'm going to go back up to the top here. And AI. Absolutely. AI is remarkable. Now they do deep research, right? So now AI will give you what's called deep research. All right. Let's see here. Are there specific grants for mentoring programs for young girls? Yes, there are. Let's see. Best grant funding for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors. So you're looking for grants that are geared towards women and girls, but also grants that are geared towards trauma. You want to use the word trauma when you're searching. Let's see. On my website, I say that I help minority and female entrepreneurs. Do I have to change the wording because of DEI? I would tweak it. I would tweak it. I gave you, I already answered the question about tips for startups that do not have the data. How do we approach forming a relationship with the organization? Pre-application, I talked about that. You absolutely introduce yourself. You're going to send an email. So when you are wanting to meet with that foundation, you send an email. In that email, you are connecting yourself to that organization. Because wherever you are providing a service or whatever you are funding, you want to connect it to where that organization is giving money. So yes, you send it in the email, never ask for money in the email. Never, ever, ever ask for money in the email. Ask for a meeting in the email. And in the meeting, you ask for the money. But in that email, you are describing your organization. You are talking about who you serve and how you serve them. And then you are connecting somehow yourself to that organization. Maybe you have a homeless ministry. Maybe they give money to the homeless. Maybe you provide food and shelter to domestic violence victims. Maybe that's where they fund. And that's the beauty of going on their website because it's listed there. It's listed where they fund, it's listed where they give money. But first, you're going to do your initial grant research, right? Through either Grant Watch or Grant Station or Foundation Directory Online. But this is where the course helps you. All right. Let's see. Let me get down to the end here. The boot camp is $1,997 for the 2 days. It does include the course. The grant coaching, 3-month program, 6-month program, they both include the course. Let's see. I bought the course already as an admin for my nonprofit employer. She paid for it. Can she get a tax write-off? So the nonprofit or the for-profit, right, that paid for it, yes, it's an educational expense. Absolutely. Yes, she can get the tax write. If she paid for it and it's part of maybe the businesses that she provides, she absolutely can. So someone bought the course last year. I'm just getting back to it. The course, there's no expiration date. So you can literally come back in. You bought it last year. You can literally come back in and start off where you left and not pay anymore. That's why it's such a just $297. What are some other resources to utilize for the homeless community? You're gonna have to do the research, right? Um, I gave you 3 different grant portals, Grant Watch, Grant Station, Foundation Directory Online. But again, that's where the course will help you go through them. It literally teaches you how to use those different grant portals. Can you get a personal grant? Typically not. So grants are for either nonprofits or small businesses. Now, there are some individual grants. Typically, they go to those who are doing research, PhD research, for example, right? Those are almost always the only individual grants I see if you're doing research on a PhD level. We assist domestic violence and sexual assault survivors in urban communities by providing supportive services. That sounds good to me. Daycare centers, doesn't matter, home-based or brick and mortar, they both receive grant funding. A great resource for research is the Friedman Digital Scholarship at Case Western Reserve University. Yes, it is. Uh, yes. So I attended Case. I attended Case many years ago, studied engineering there, chemical engineering. So I'm very much familiar with Case Western Reserve University. It is a absolutely fabulous, fabulous university. Study engineering there. So yes, they're awesome. And they have a phenomenal, as you mentioned, research center. So for anybody in the Cleveland area, Case Western Reserve University. Artist grants, absolutely. Artist grants are under arts and culture. So let me just give you all three last pieces of advice before I close it. By the way, yes, you have 3 days to get the additional discount. 3 days to get the additional $200 off to get everything for $297. When you search for a grant, three areas. One, still your ethnicity or gender, because there are grants that are geared towards women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits, and there are still grants geared towards Black-owned businesses and Black-led nonprofits. Still, all right? Next is your mission. Match your mission to how that organization is funding, or your programming or your service. And the last is your industry. This is where a lot of you are leaving money on the table. There's two places where you're leaving money on the table. One is that you're not going to your own industry. You have a hair care salon, Shea Moisture, they make shampoo and conditioners, right? They have a grant. Hennessy and Tito's, I think it is Tito's, Hennessy, they make some type of liquor. They have a grant program. So if you are opening up a restaurant, try to get a grant from Tito's and Hennessy, right? Same industry. Are you in the transportation industry? UPS, FedEx, they have grants. Someone was in the travel industry when I was teaching a webinar earlier. I'm like, oh my gosh, travel industry. Do you know that almost all of the major airlines have foundations? They literally fly under the radar. American Airlines, Delta, right? United, they all have foundations. Same industry. Go to your industry and look for grants in your industry. All right. What foundations and sponsors support social entrepreneurship? You have to do the research. Like you literally have to do the research. But some of your major organizations like Microsoft, right, and Sony provide for social entrepreneurship. Look for the Kellogg's Foundation, right? Social entrepreneurship, because they're still heavily invested, right, in social issues. And yes, oftentimes they give money to not only your nonprofits, but to entrepreneurs too. Oh, and the last one, banks. Do you know that banks provide hundreds of millions of dollars in grants every single year? That's another one, right? But there's one organization in particular called the Hope Operations. John. John Hope Bryant. Just Google this, the person that's asking about the Operation Hope. Thank you. Operation Hope. John Hope Bryant, the person that's asking about the social entrepreneurship. Their goal is to create 1 million Black businesses. They're up to like 400,000. All right. I believe we are done. I believe we are done and answered the questions, right? I think there may be one more. Could the founder of the program, could the founder but the program, but since I'm the grant writer, we both be, could the founder, I'm sorry, you might have to rephrase that because I'm not sure what you're asking. Could the founder but the program, but since I'm the grant writer, we both be included? Just rephrase that so I can know what you're asking. The grant writer, can the grant writer be funded? So you could always write into your budget payment for a grant writer. You could write that into your budget, but you're not paying for the grant writer who wrote the grant for you to get the grant out of the grant money, right? Because that's not what foundations want. They don't want you paying out of their grant money the person that wrote the grant. But as you are creating your operations budget, you can include a part-time grant writer. You can absolutely include a part-time grant writer. All right? All right. Since I'm the grant writer, could be in the founder of the organization be included in the face. Ah, I see what you're saying. Send me an email. Yeah, that's possible. I just need to make sure I have the right emails, right? So send me an email. My email address is in the webinar chat. Make sure you all put the email address on your contact list so that when you get the replay and the codes, it won't go to spam. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up. But yes, just send me an email. Quincy, I will definitely see you over in the Facebook group. Everybody, you have 3 days. You have 3 days to get the discount. All right, 3 days to get the discount. And this is a real opportunity for you to move your organization forward and like no longer be on the sidelines saying this. You heard about some grant somewhere. All right. All right. And keep in mind when you buy the course, you get the free artificial intelligence guide that's normally $99. So I hope to see you all in the course of the Facebook group over the next 3 days when you can get the additional $200 off. So you've got 3 days to get it. All right. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you were able to hop on. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this was encouraging for you to know that, yes, there are grants that are still available for your organization. Even if you're in this area of DEI, the grants are still available. It's how you go about researching and writing that grant application. And I am certainly here to support you with that. All right. So thank you so much again. My name is Linda Peavy. I'm creator of the course Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys to Winning Grant Proposals, and the company LiPav Consulting. I hope, again, this has been helpful for you. I hope to see you in the Facebook group over the course of the next 3 days so that you can get the help that you need, right? Because this is just a maze that we're in with this grant writing. So I would be very happy to help move you through the process so that you can actually get grant money, right? And stop using your own money, right? Stop using your own money. Stop thinking about whether or not you'll ever open. Like you can do this. You can do this. All right. So hopefully I will see you. Thank you so much. Thank you for hopping on. Whatever you do, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Like, don't stop. There's a lot of good information here. And the replay that you're going to get, the best fight that you have against what is going on is to be successful, to have your successful nonprofit, to have your successful small business. And I think about what Whitney said. Whitney never thought she would get any grant money. She got $200,000. She said, I can now be an employee of my own business. Like, isn't that what you want? To be able to pay yourself and others and still do what you love and what you feel that, you were put here to do. All right. So thank you so much. Hopefully I will see you soon. And I want you to have a blessed and a safe and really an encouraged rest of your week and rest of the year. Like keep moving regardless of what's happening around you. Just keep moving forward and keep in mind what my coach Lamar Tyler said. You're the one that you've been waiting for. You're it. and you can do this. All right. You can do this. All right. Thanks so much. Bye bye.